Good afternoon, or good day, everyone. Good day, Mayor Williams.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good day, Mayor Williams.
Good afternoon, Chairperson.
Good afternoon. Advocate Ramokhale.
Yes, Chair.
I might have interrupted your train of thoughts.
No, no worries. We're here to assist the panel.
Yes, I just want to connect these things before I forget what I wanted to clarify.
Yes, Chair.
But you may proceed.
Chair, we've tried in the tea break to try and assist the chairperson with clarifying that particular sequence. Ms. Williams, if I could assist by directing you, we haven't gotten there yet, but since we're on this topic, let's get it out of the way. In paragraph 83 of your statement, I think that's an attempt to answer the chairperson's question.
Yes, I suggest that you don't interrupt yourself.
All right.
That's why I'm raising this point that I might have ran ahead of you.
Okay, I'm happy to deal with it now, Chair, because we can get it out of the way and move on, because I do want to make separate points related to those statements.
As it is convenient to you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So, Ms. Williams, we're at, do you have paragraph 83?
Just 1 second. I just need to put my dockets aside and find it. Paragraph 83?
Yes.
Yes, I do have it now.
Could you just read that out to the panel, please?
The NIU members told me that they were conducting a patrol when they received a request for backup from the Kato Manor unit on the police radio. They gave the following account of what happened next. When they arrived near the scene at Mgeni Road, they witnessed the deceased, Mr. Mkhize, shooting at the members of Kato Manor FBC. The NIU members joined in the pursuit of Mr. Mkhize's vehicle. At some point, the Kato Manor unit's vehicle fell behind and the NIU's vehicle took the lead. The NIU vehicle cut off Mr. Mkhize's vehicle, at which point Mr. Mkhize fired shots at the NIU members who returned fire. Mr. Mkhize was subdued and ultimately killed by shots fired by the NIU members. The only Kato Manor members identified as taking part in the alleged shootout were Inspector Adrian Stoltz and Constable Raymond Lee.
Now, if we could just stop there and go back to the statement that the chairperson was pointing to you, which is at DC 000191.
That is my statement, correct?
Indeed.
Yes.
At paragraph 2, the chair was pointing you to what you state there. You say 3 members from NIU, Marion Hill and Inspector Lamuka, Constable Mfene, and Constable Sikhulume, spoke to Ms. Gibson and me and told us that they assisted Kato Manor organized crime because they heard a call from backup on the radio. They also described to us that the witnesses that they witnessed how the deceased was shooting at members from Kato Manor organized crime, and they responded by cutting off the vehicle and fired shots at them, and they returned fire. Now, you keep referring to they there. You say they also described to us that they witnessed how the deceased. Who's the they that you're referring to there?
The they I was referring to would be Inspector Lamuka, Constable Mfene, and Constable Sikhulume.
Right, and then you continue that they witnessed how the deceased was shooting at members of Kato Manor, and you also then say, and they responded by cutting off the vehicle and fired shots at them. Who's the they that you're referring to there?
The they I'm referring to is the same members from the NIU, and that would be the same members, Inspector Lamuka, Constable Mfene, and Constable Sikhulume.
And then you continue after stating that they responded by cutting off the vehicle and fired shots at them, and they returned fire. Once again, just to be clear, when you say they returned fire, who returned fire?
The they that I'm referring to here would be the same three members, Inspector Tlamuka, Constable Mfene, and Constable Sikulume.
Now, if we could turn to the statement that the chair directed you to from Inspector Tlamuka, which is at page 00040.
I have it in front of me, Chairperson.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. In paragraph 2, Constable Tlamuka says that on the 3rd of February 2009, he was on duty in full uniform and in the company of Constable Mfene. He says, we were requested to assist members from Organized Crime Durban with the searching for a suspect involved in Begi Temba CAS 113-01-2009. And then could you just read what he says at paragraph 3 and 4?
Paragraph 3 reads as follows. On the same day, at about 13:15, members of organized crime spotted and began following the suspect in his motor vehicle, a black Lexus with registration number ND 148765. Myself and Constable Mfene caught up with the suspect on the Mgeni Road, just past the Connaught Road Bridge, where we overtook the members of organized crime, and upon approaching the said vehicles close to the BP garage, the suspect produced a firearm and fired shots in our direction. Myself and Constable Mfene returned fire immediately in the direction of the suspect.
Right. And then the last statement, apologies. And then the last statement we'll look at is that of Officer Mfene, which is, we looked at it at 00085.
I have that. I actually made bookmarks for myself. I have it in front of me.
Yes. Could you inform the panel what is it that he states? Paragraph 2, 3, and 4.
He states as follows. On Tuesday, 2009-0203, I was on duty in full uniform and in the company of Inspector Tlamuka. We were requested to assist members from Organized Crime Durban searching for suspect involved in Beki Temba case 113-1-2009. On the same day, about 13:15, members of Organized Crime spotted the vehicle with suspect, a black Lexus ND 148765, and began following it. We caught up with the suspect on the Mgeni Road, just past the Connaught Road Bridge, where we overtook the members of organized crime, and upon approaching the said vehicle close to the BP garage, the suspect produced a firearm and fired shots in our direction. I, with Inspector Tlamuka, returned fire immediately in the direction of suspect. When we then alighted from our vehicle and upon approaching the suspect vehicle, I observed a pistol, black in color, lying next to the deceased. The scene was then secured and then taken over by the necessary role players.
Right. Now, if I could ask you, when you consider the date of the statement from Officer Mfene and the date of the statement from Inspector Tlamuka, you will find the date from the affidavit of Officer Mfene at the very next page of what you were reading now, at DC 00086.
I have it, yes.
What's the date that we see there?
It's the 2nd of November 2009.
Right. And if you go back to the statement by Inspector Tlamuka at DC 00040, what's the date that we see there?
It's the 16th of September 2009.
And then we go back to your statement which is at DC 000192. What's the date on which you give your statement?
Just give me 1 second, I just need to get there. The date of my statement is on the 9th of December 2009.
So of these statements, the three that we've just looked at, which statement came first?
I'm just going to make a note of that. Mine is 9th of December, it seems to be the last one.
That of Inspector Dlamuka.
Yes, Chair. Inspector Lamuka and Officer Mfene.
Officer, I beg your pardon, Ms. Williams.
Yes,
For
Madam Chair.
the sequence of date, the first statement would have been that of Inspector Dlamuka, followed by that of Constable Mfene in November, and then yours in December.
That's correct, ma'am.
Correct.
If I may, Inspector Dlamuka, his statement was commissioned on the 16th of September 2009. Constable Mfene, his one was on the 2nd of November 2009. And my one was made on the 2nd of December 2009.
Is that yours? Is that the 2nd or the 9th of December?
The 9th of December 2009. 2nd of November would have been the one for Mfene.
Yes. Now, the chairperson's question to you earlier was, what you stated in paragraph 2, is that consistent with what you were told? I mean, is that consistent with what we now see in the affidavits of Constable Mfene and Inspector Dlamuka?
No.
What is the inconsistency?
In what they related to us at the scene, they described to us how they witnessed how the deceased was shooting at members from Kato Manor organized crime and how they responded by cutting off the vehicles. Yet in their statements, they don't say anything about Kato Manor members being fired at. They only speak about a firearm being produced after that, and that would be a distance further away from where this would have occurred, ma'am, and that would have been at the BP garage. I know that area well, so I have an idea how far it is. It's not a very big distance away, but it's quite a distance away from there. So it was not at this stage, as they described to us at the scene, that the members were shot at. Because when I look at what they're saying in their statement, what they say here is two different things, ma'am.
And from the statements that we've read, do they give an account about why they started shooting at Mr. Mkhize?
Are you talking about in my statement now?
No. In the statement of Constable Mfene and Inspector Dlamuka, do they give an explanation about why they began shooting at Mr. Mkhize?
According to what I can read from their statements, they say that the reason they began shooting at Mr. Mkhize is because Mr. Mkhize is now pointing a firearm at them and shooting at them. That is what I understand from reading their statements.
Right. Now, if we could take that and compare it to the statements that were given by the members of Kato Manor, you will find the first statement, I had pointed it to you earlier. It's at DC 000, page 22.
Is it 22 or 20?
20, my apologies, 20.
Yes, I do have that in front of me.
Whose statement is that, Council? Whose statement is that?
Ms. Williams, if you could answer the chair's question, whose statement is that?
This statement would be for Rakesh Chandravan Maharaj.
And who's Mr.
From-
Rakesh Maharaj?
He was a member of the Kato Manor SBC.
Now, could you read what Mr. Maharaj states from paragraph 2 of his statement?
Paragraph 2 states as follows. On Tuesday, 2009-0203, I was on duty and the crew of a police vehicle. My driver was Detective Inspector G. Padayachi. Due to information received concerning a suspect, Bongani Mkhize, wanted on Becky Timber Cash 113 of 1/2009, we proceeded to the Overport area. The above suspect was also believed to be driving a blackish Toyota Lexus with registration number ND 148765. At approximately 13:15, whilst in the area, we were called via police radio by Inspector Stoltz requesting assistance to pull off the above-mentioned Lexus. My driver immediately responded by going in the direction of Umgeni Road, where I spotted the Lexus in front of me and thereafter joined in the high-speed car chase. The above vehicle eventually came to a halt opposite the BP garage on Umgeni Road, and my driver simultaneously stopped the police vehicle. At this stage, I noticed the driver firing shots in our direction. I immediately returned fire with my R5 rifle in the suspect's direction. That is all I wish to state.
Now, could you tell the panel what it is that Mr. Maharaj is saying about the shooting? Who does he say was shot at?
According to what I'm reading, from what Mr. Maharaj is saying, he says that the suspect is now shooting at himself and Inspector Padayachi.
Yes. Now, if you move on to the next page, DC 40022, could you inform the panel what it is that we're looking at here?
We are looking at a statement from Warrant Officer Padayachi.
Could you state his full names?
Gunasegran Padayachi.
And who's Mr. Gonaserian Padayachi?
He is a member that was attached to the Durban SBC, Kato Manor SBC, ma'am.
And what does he state in paragraph 2, 3, and 4?
He states as follows. On 2009-0203, I was on duty and the driver of a police vehicle. My crew was Detective Inspector R.C. Maraj. Information was received regarding a suspect named Bongani Mkhize, who was wanted for murder with a Becky Timber Cash 113 of 1/2009. We were on the lookout for the suspect's vehicle, which was a dark-colored Toyota Lexus, bearing the registration number ND 148765. We then proceeded to the Overport area, as we believed the suspect was in the vicinity of Overport. At approximately 13:15, we were summoned via the police radio by Inspector Stoltz, requesting assistance as he had spotted the suspect's vehicle, namely the black Lexus. Inspector Stoltz gave us his location and we immediately headed in that direction. I spotted the Lexus in Umgeni Road and a high-speed chase continued in pursuit of the suspect vehicle. We continued east on Umgeni Road until passing under Connaught Bridge, when shots were fired at the tires of the Lexus by Inspector Stoltz. The Lexus came to a stop on Umgeni Road opposite the BP garage. I stopped my vehicle on the right side of the Lexus and I noticed the driver firing shots at us. I returned fire with my 9mm Beretta pistol.
Now, according to Officer Padiachi, in which direction were the shots fired at?
The shots was fired. I'm going to read from his statement. I stopped my vehicle on the right side of the Lexus and I noticed the driver firing shots at us, which means the us must have been himself and Inspector Maharaj, as he's describing here.
Now, could I ask you this? We've now looked at two statements, one from Officer Maharaj, the other from Officer Padiachi. Is there any mention in either of their statements of the NIU?
No, there's no mention of NIU members, Chairperson.
What should the panel make of that?
It does not appear that the NIU members were involved in the shooting.
Right, we'll come to that later, but you've got two statements here, one by Mr. Maharaj, the other by Mr. Padiachi, who described the shooting, and as you've said, there's no mention of the NIU. If the panel were to ask you what conclusions it should draw from that, what would you say?
The shootout here, according to what I'm reading, ma'am, the shootout would then have been between Inspector Maharaj, Inspector Padiachi, and then the deceased Bongani Mkhize.
Now, if we go to the last statement from one of the Kato Manor members, which is a few pages back at DC 00019.
I do have that, yes.
What is this document that we're looking at?
We are looking at a statement provided by Warrant Officer Stoltz, Adrian Stoltz. He's also attached at Kato Manor SBC.
Could you tell the panel you've already told us that he's from Kato Manor, but could you tell the panel what he reads there, or what he states there rather, at paragraphs 2, 3, 4, and 5?
He states as follows: on Tuesday, 2009 or 203, I was on official duty with Constable R. Lee, that would be Raymond Lee, number 7009776-3. Information was received regarding a suspect, Bongani Mkhize, wanted on Becky Temba Cas 113 of 1/2009, whom was seen driving a dark-colored Lexus registration number ND 148765 in the Overport area. I decided to conduct surveillance duties alongside Ridge Road. At about 13:10, a black Lexus registration number 148765 was observed driving in a southern direction towards Overport City. Constable Lee and I followed the said vehicle along Ridge Road. Over the intersection of Ridge and Sparks Road, the suspect vehicle turned right into McCord Drive and accelerated. Constable Lee continued to follow the vehicle, and I informed the other members via radio what the situation is and the location of the suspect vehicle. The vehicle turned into Highview Road towards Sparks Road, left into Sparks Road towards Brickfield Road. Constable Lee managed to pull up along the side of the Lexus. I produced my police appointment certificate and instructed the driver of the Lexus to stop. The driver of the Lexus, the Lexus to stop. The driver of the Lexus ignored my instructions and kept on driving. The suspect then produced a firearm through his open window. Constable Lee applied brakes and pulled in behind the Lexus. The Lexus again accelerated, and I informed the other members that the suspect is armed. The suspect vehicle continued to drive at high speed towards Brickfield Road, right into Brickfield Road, left into Rosalind Road, left into Pastoral Road, left into Clayton Road, back towards Brickfield Road. The suspect then turned left into Brickfield Road towards Mgeni Road, right into Mgeni Road towards the Connaught Road Bridge. When the suspect vehicle had passed underneath the Connaught Road Bridge, the traffic cleared and I decided to stop the Lexus by shooting out the tires. I sat on the passenger door and fired several shots at the left and rear tires of the Lexus. The vehicle slowed down and stopped opposite the BP garage in Mgeni Road, where shots were fired between the suspects and other SAPS members. I alighted from my vehicle and approached the suspect vehicle when the exchange of gunfire ceased. Should I continue with paragraph 6?
No, what I was going to ask you is whether Officer Stoltz makes any mention of the NIU in his statement.
There is no specific mention to the NIU members in the statement.
And does he give an explanation about who fired the first shot?
Let me just read it again. The explanation he talks about here about who fired the first shot, if I'm reading correctly, is that he sat on the passenger door and fired several shots at the left and right rear tires of the Lexus.
Does he say whether Mr. Mkhize fired shots at them?
There is no such indication on this page in his statement.
Now, there's mention in his statement of Constable Lee. You will find Constable Lee's statement, again in the same vicinity of those documents, at DC 00024.
Just wait a minute. Your last question. The last but one sentence of paragraph 4, DC 00019. The suspect then produced the firearm through his open window. No mention of him shooting at them here by Inspector Stoltz.
No mention of him shooting at Inspector Stoltz. You're correct, Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Chair. And then we're now at the statement of Constable Lee. Could you read for the panel what appears in paragraphs 2 and 3 and 4 of his statement? Oh, I'm sorry, it's DC 00024, volume DC 1. Ms. Williams, do you have that?
Yes, I do have that. May I proceed?
Just a moment, please. Please proceed.
I read as follows. On Tuesday, 2009-0203, I was on duty and in the company of Inspector A. Stoltz. Information was received that the suspect, Bongani Mkhize, could be in the vicinity of the Overport area and possibly driving a dark-colored Lexus with registration number ND 148765. Members were deployed accordingly in the area to hold observation for the suspect and his vehicle. At 1310, a black Lexus with registration number ND 148765 was noticed driving towards Overport City along Ridge Road. Inspector Stoltz and I immediately began following the black Lexus along Ridge Road, over the intersection of Ridge and Sparks Road towards the N3. The vehicle's movements were conveyed to the other members via radio. The Lexus then turned right into McCord Drive and began to accelerate to a high speed. I continued to follow the vehicle as it continued at high speed along McCord Drive and right into Highview Road, back towards Sparks Road. The Lexus continued to drive at high speed and went onto the right-hand side of the road at the intersection of Highview and Sparks Road to get around several cars waiting at the intersection. I followed the Lexus left into Sparks Road and down towards Brickfield Road. In Sparks Road, I managed to pull up along the right side of the Lexus whose driver's window was down. Inspector Stoltz produced his appointment certificate and shouted for him to pull over as we are the police. The driver, who was now identified as Bongani Mkhize, proceeded to produce a pistol and point it at us. I immediately hit the brakes and pulled in behind the Lexus. The Lexus again accelerated, going onto the right-hand side of the road, going contraflow through the intersection of Sparks and Brickfield. turning right into Brickfield Road. I was still following the Lexus, which was again driving at high speed through the traffic. The car then turned right into Roslyn Road, continuing along Roslyn Road before turning left into Pastoral Road. The car then turned left into Clayton Road, heading past Clayton Road School and down towards Brickfield Road. During all this, the suspect did not slow down. The chase then continued left into Brickfield Road, where the driver ignored red robots and climbed pavements to get away from us. The suspect then turned right into Umgeni Road, continuing to ignore the red robots, headed towards town, weaving through traffic. Along Umgeni Road and under the Cornell Road Bridge, the traffic cleared and it was decided to stop the Lexus by shooting at the tires. Shots were then fired towards the vehicle. The car then slowed down in Umgeni Road close to the BP garage, and the vehicle containing tactical intervention unit members pulled up alongside the Lexus and more shots were fired. The members alighted and approached the vehicle from various angles, and in the motor vehicle, a 9mm pistol was found lying next to the deceased. Paramedics, duty officers, and the detective on call were then summoned. The scene was secured and we remained at the scene.
Now, you've just now read the statement of Constable Lee. Does Constable Lee say that Mr. Mkhize fired a shot at them?
I don't see that in the statement.
What does he say, particularly in paragraph 4?
Along the Umgeni Road and under the Cornell Road Bridge, the traffic cleared and it was decided to stop the Lexus by shooting out the tires. Shots were then fired towards the vehicle. The car then slowed down in Umgeni Road close to the BP garage, and the vehicle containing tactical intervention unit members, that would be the NIU members chairperson, pulled up along the Lexus and more shots were fired.
Now, he says here in paragraph 4 that it was decided to stop the Lexus by shooting out the tires. Shots were then fired towards the vehicle. Does he explain who fired the shots towards the vehicle?
He only says here, he speaks about tactical intervention unit members pulled up along the Lexus and more shots were fired. So when I'm reading this, my understanding is that he is now saying that shots were now fired from the NIU tactical intervention unit members.
No, let's just go a sentence back. He says, along Umgeni Road, etc., the traffic cleared and it was decided to stop the Lexus by shooting out the tires. Shots were then fired towards the vehicle. Do you see that?
I see that, yes.
Does he explain who fired the shots towards the vehicle?
He does not say who really fired the shots towards the vehicle, but there's nothing saying that there were shots fired to them from this vehicle. So in my understanding, when I read, if I have to interpret this, it says that the police members who decided to stop the Lexus by shooting at the tires then fired towards the vehicle.
Now, we've seen your statement at DC 000191, in which you state that you were informed by the NIU that shots were fired at Kato Manor, and then they took over and fired shots at Mr. Mkhize. Is my understanding correct?
That's correct, Chairperson.
And then we've now seen the statement of the NIU, Inspector Lamuka, as well as Constable Mfene, who says that they took over. They received radio help from Kato Manor, took over the scene, and then the suspect, or Mr. Mkhize, fired shots at them and they returned fire. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chairperson.
And now we've read the statements from the Kato Manor unit, from Officers Stoltz, Pariachi, Lee, and Maharaj, in which Maharaj and Maharaj and Officer Padayachi say that the deceased, Mr. Mkhize fired shots at them and they returned fire.
That's correct, yes.
And now we've just read both the versions of Officer Stoltz as well as Officer Lee that says that it was decided to stop the vehicle by firing shots at it. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chairperson.
What should the panel now make of these different versions from the police, as well as from what was conveyed to you?
Chairperson, there is a clear contradiction in the statements of what actually transpired at that scene. If I may speak my mind, it's clear here that somebody is lying about what actually transpired and how it came that Mr. Bongani Mkhize met his demise.
Now, what does the NIU tell us in their statement was the reason why they were chasing after Mr. Mkhize?
According to the NIU statements that I've just read, they say that they were assisting, they were called on to assist, they were called for backup, and they interceded, and the Kato Manor members fell behind. They took over the high-speed car chase, that's what they call it, and then the member then the deceased produced a firearm, aimed it at them, and they shot at him.
Now, in fairness to them, let's go to their statement to see what they say in their own words. If you could begin with the statement of Inspector Dlamuka, which is at DC 000, page 40.
I have Dlamuka's statement, yes.
Could you just read paragraph 2?
On Tuesday, 2009-0203, I was on duty in full uniform and in the company of Constable Mfene. We were requested to assist members from Organized Crime Unit Durban with the searching for a suspect involved in Becky Temba case 113 of 1/2009.
Now, if we could stop there. What is it that Inspector Dlamuka says is the reason why they were on the scene?
Are we speaking to paragraph 2 now?
Yes.
Count?
Yes.
Okay, he says they were requested to assist members from Organized Crime and Durban, Unit Durban, with the searching for a suspect involved in Becky Temba case 113 of 1/2009.
Now, if you go to the second statement which we've looked at of Constable Mfene, you'll find that at DC 000, page 89.
You say
85, my apologies, 85, not 89.
Okay. I have his statement here. Which paragraph do you want me to read, Chairperson?
Just paragraph 2, please, Ms. Williams.
It reads as follows. On Tuesday, 2009-0203, I was on duty in full uniform and in the company of Inspector Dlamuka. We were requested to assist members from Organized Crime Durban searching for suspect involved in Becky Temba case 113 of 1/2009.
Now we've looked at both statements. What is the reason they say they were on the scene?
They both say that they were requested by Organized Crime Durban in searching for a suspect involved in the Becky Temba case 113 of 1/2009.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Now, if I could ask you...
Do you realize that the dates are different?
Yes, Chairperson, if I can...
Yes,
are you talking about the dates that they give the statement?
Yes. Constable Mfene says it was on Tuesday, the 31st of February 2009, and Inspector Dlamuka says it was on the 3rd of February 2009.
Yes, I noticed that, ma'am. I don't know, maybe he just made an error. Maybe he just meant to say that it was on the 3rd, but I don't know why we put 31 because it was on the 3rd. And February does not have 31 days.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Williams, I wanted to take you to another document on this particular aspect of their evidence. It's in the same bundle, members of the panel. The first document, which the panel has already seen, but Ms. Williams, you might not have seen yet, is at DC 000252. That would be at the beginning of volume 2, DC2, Madam Chair.
DC?
000252.
Is that a statement from Sibusiso William Zungu?
Yes, but let's just give the panel a moment to get there, please.
At the beginning of volume 2, you can refer to DC2.
Yes, Madam Chair, it's at the beginning of volume 2 at 000252. Ms. Williams, do you have that?
I do have that, Chairperson.
Could you inform the panel what is this document that we're looking at?
This would be a statement provided by Sibusiso William Zungu, attached to South African Police Services stationed at Durban Organised Crime, detached at the Political Violence Task Team.
Yes, could you read what he states in paragraph 2 and onwards?
In paragraph 2, he states, I am the investigating officer of Becky Temba case 113 of 1/2009, the murder of Wellington Mbongoleni Zondi, who was shot and killed at Z section, Umlazi Township, Durban. During the course of my investigation, information became available through an informal network indicating various names of suspects that were involved in the planning regarding the killing of Nkosi Zondi. The chairman of the Mapumulu Taxi Association, Mr. Bongani Mkhize, was amongst those who conspired to kill Nkosi Zondi. The information further indicated that one of the suspects amongst those who carried out the killing was at Stanger Taxi rank. I proceeded to Stanger Taxi rank with the assistance of members from National Intervention Unit, and the suspect was arrested. On the following day, the information was provided to me regarding the second suspect who allegedly partook in the killing of Nkosi Zondi, and it was indicated that he was at the Stanger Taxi rank. This operation was also conducted with the assistance of National Intervention Unit, and the suspect was arrested at Stanger Taxi rank. Both operations were conducted by myself with the assistance of members from National Intervention Unit as they were deployed at Stanger and surrounding areas. It was my intention to, at some stage in the future, to question Mr. Bongani Mkhize with regards to the information on hand, including certain information provided to me by various sources of information. In the interim, my focus was the extensive search for other suspects that were identified to me as the ones who carried out the killing. While I was busy conducting the second operation at Stanger, I heard on the radio that Mr. Bongani Mkhize was shot and killed at Mgeni by the police. On my arrival back from Stanger, I was informed by somebody of the killing of Bongani Mkhize, but I cannot recall who that was. I did not attend the scene where Bongani Mkhize was fatally wounded. I was not aware of any operation regarding the tracing of Bongani Mkhize, nor did I request anybody to trace Bongani Mkhize. I did not request any of the shooters to trace Bongani Mkhize.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. What does, you've told us that this is a statement from Sibusisa William Zungu, who is the detective or investigating officer in Begi Temba, 113-01-2009. What does Mr. Zungu or Officer Mzungu tell us about the circumstances related to Mr. Mkhize and whether or not he was sought after by the police?
Do you want me to refer to a specific paragraph?
No, just in your own words, from having read it, what does he say? Was Mr. Mkhize a suspect or not?
He says in the beginning that the chairman of the Mapungulu Tax Association, Mr. Bongani Mkhize, was amongst those who conspired to kill Nkosi Zondi. And then towards the end, that's in the beginning, but towards the end he says something different. He says he was conducting second operation at Stanger because he was now looking for these suspects. He heard on the radio that Bongani Mkhize was shot and killed at the Mgeni Road by the police. He says on his arrival from Stanger, he was informed by somebody of the killing of Bongani Mkhize. He does not attend Bongani Mkhize, the scene where he was shot. He was not aware of any operation regarding the tracing of Bongani Mkhize, nor did he request anybody to trace Bongani Mkhize. He says again, he did not request any of the shooters that was involved in the shooting now at Mgeni Road to trace Bongani Mkhize.
We've now seen...
Wait a minute,
I'm
Counsel.
sorry, Chair.
Just to answer your question, I think, Ms. Williams, if you look at paragraph 5, read with paragraph 7, 8 and 9, Mr. Zungu is saying allegations were made that Mr. Mkhize was alleged to have taken a part in the killing of Nkosi Zondi.
Yes,
And subsequent thereto, in paragraph 7, as he stated, it was his intention at one stage or at some stage in the future to question Mr. Mkhize with regard to the information on hand,
correct, ma'am?
including certain information provided to him by various sources.
Yes, that is what he says. And he says in the interim, his focus was the extensive search for other suspects that were identified to him as the ones who carried out the killing.
Yes, and before the interview or the intended questioning, he then heard on radio that Mr. Mkhize had been killed.
That's correct, Chairperson.
Now, Counsel asked you the question. I thought that the point that Counsel was trying to ascertain with you, and he will correct me, is whether this witness has suggested that Mr. Mkhize was involved in any killings of Mr. Zondi. Did I understand it correctly?
Yes, Chair, that was the first part of my question.
Yes, because the point is that he was investigating. And after the allegations, he planned to interview the deceased Mr. Mkhize. But before he could interview him or question him, Mr. Mkhize was killed.
That's correct, yes. That's also my understanding.
Yes, and then he says he never requested anybody to trace Mr. Mkhize or anybody to shoot at him. That's what Mr. Zungu is saying.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any weight that we should attach to this statement, Mr. Ramkhali? Or are you taking us there?
Yes, Chair, I was going to ask the witness, now that we've gone through the statement of Mr. Zungu, and you compare that to the version given by the NIU officers about why they were seeking him, what should we make of this?
This does not make sense at all, because the investigating officer in this matter is saying that at a later stage he was intending to go and speak to the suspect. And he also makes it very clear in his statement, Chairperson, that he has not asked anybody, he's not made a request to anybody. That would be the SVC, Kato Manor SVC, or anybody else, to go and trace the suspect, because his intention was that he was going to do it himself when he finds time at a later stage in the future.
And is my understanding correct from the NIU affidavits that they say the request to assist came from Kato Manor?
That's correct, Chairperson.
And that Mr. Mkhize was a suspect in Bheki Themba 113-01-2009?
Yes, Chairperson, and if I can just, maybe this is unnecessary, but the actual case that Nkosi was killed in was Bheki Themba case 113 of 2008, not even 2009. That is a completely different matter.
Now, there's a second statement I want to point you to from Mr. Zungu. You will find that at DC 000385.
May I just ask, are you going to go back to the statement that you are busy with now?
No.
Or are you progressing?
I'm progressing to the next statement.
Okay,
I'll wait.
may I just ask a question about Mrs. Williams? We notice from paragraph 2 of the statement of Sibusiso, Detective Inspector, that he says he's the investigating officer in the murder of Wellington Mbongeni Zondi. Now, what is the position about this Wellington Mbongeni Zondi? Is it King, Chief?
Inkosi.
Inkosi. Is it
Yes,
the
it's the
Inkosi?
chief, yes. Yes.
Okay. Now, the detective says that he did not authorize or he did not request anyone to assist with the tracing.
That's correct, Madam Chair.
In your capacity as a former police person, who would be in charge of the tracing of a suspect once a docket has been allocated? In this case, it would appear the docket was allocated to him.
If I may answer that, ma'am, the person that would now be making the request and doing everything pertaining to this docket would have been Sibusiso William Zungu. He's the one that should have made the request. He's the one that should have gone out, traced the suspect, arrest the suspect, taking in for questioning, whatever it is he wanted to do. As far as I'm concerned, Kato Manor had no business dealing with the suspect at this stage, because he was not the suspect. He was the suspect of Sibusiso William Zungu in Bheki Themba case 113 of 2008.
Right, let's talk about a scenario where a case has been allocated to a particular investigating officer, and some other policemen or police persons become aware of the investigation, right? And while traveling around, they come across a suspect to the case that is being investigated, that they are aware of. In such a case, what is expected of the police to do? Who spot the suspect? What are they supposed to do?
There is actually an example that I may use if I'm allowed to do so. And if I'm out of line, if you can just alert me to that. There was also another incident where we will later talk about this in this matter. And I'm going to read to you from a memorandum if I will be allowed to do so.
Yes, for
And this was-
completeness and understanding at the moment, you may go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. This is a memorandum drawn up by Mr. L.B. John, our acting provincial head. And this was an actual scenario that took place. And I read, on 2010-01-11, at about 10, Inspector Ndlovu was interviewed by Mr. Kwanyana. Ma'am, I think I'm going to leave out the first part and the second part because I think it's the second part that's actually relevant to what we actually want to be saying here and the point that I'm trying to make. Inspector Ndlovu is stationed at the Mpangeni Dock Unit, and he indicated that he remembered sometime in 2008 he was informed by a taxi owner that certain suspects involved in the shooting of Sutono was traveling in a taxi towards Mpangeni. He inquired the actual whereabouts of the alleged suspects and was informed that they were near Mpangeni. At that stage, Inspector Ndlovu was working in Mandini for the Taxi Violence Project. Inspector Ndlovu then requested assistance from the Mpangeni Crime Prevention Unit to assist in arresting the occupants of the taxi. He was later informed that the two suspects were arrested and kept at Mpangeni Police Station. Inspector Ndlovu arrived at the station and he saw the two suspects lying on the ground, and he identified one of the suspects as being known by the surname of Ndimande. He also noticed firearms recovered and placed on the ground. Inspector Ndlovu made a video recording of the firearms on his cell phone. He contacted Organized Crime Unit and he spoke to one of the members who is known as Inspector Zondi. He can recognize Inspector Zondi. He was informed by Inspector Zondi to meet at SEPS Mtunzini with the crime prevention to SEPS Mtunzini. After an hour, the two members from Organized Crime Unit in Durban, Inspector Zondi and another white police officer arrived at SEPS Mtunzini. Says he heard Inspector Zondi speaking to one of the suspects, calling him by name as though they knew each other. Said Inspector Zondi then indicated to Inspector Ndlovu that the alleged suspects are not involved in the shooting of Sutono, and Inspector Zondi requested that the alleged suspects be released. Ma'am, this is, for me, this is the same thing. You see a suspect, you know that the person is a suspect, you take that person under arrest, you take him to a police station or any other office that's available. You question the suspect, you call the investigating officer, you verify the fact. If it's a suspect, the person is arrested and taken into custody. And in this case, it was said that these gentlemen were not suspects and they were released.
Yeah, that I understand, that you can arraign them, bring them to the police station for the attention of the relevant investigating officer.
Correct, ma'am.
In the event that there is resistance to arrest, what should happen? Or rather, let me put it this way. It would appear from your answer that the police officer would be entitled to arrest such persons and bring them to the attention of the investigating officer. Is that correct? Williams, I suspect that you did not hear my question.
No, ma'am. Sound went away.
Okay, no, that's fine. Listening to the answer that you have given by way of placing some example on the record, is it correct that the import of that answer or illustration is to indicate that the police officers that come across a suspect have the right to arrest the suspect and bring the suspect to the attention of the relevant investigating officer?
That is what I'm saying, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ramukhale. I'm going back to my initial question that gave rise to us looking at statements. And I won't repeat that whole exercise. Madam Williams, you remember your paragraph 73?
Yes, ma'am. You want me to go to paragraph 73?
Yes, paragraph 73 of your affidavit. Is that paragraph 73 rather? I think it is the paragraph in which we were to contrast what you said with what Inspector not forgotten the names, Mfene, Constable Mfene and Inspector Dlamuka said. And at the end, regarding that inconsistency, you said that according to you, these two officers changed the version which they narrated to you whilst at the scene when they prepared their statement. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes, Chairperson.
Now, following that, we have gone through the statements of members of the Kato Manor unit regarding that aspect. Correct?
Correct, yes, Chairperson.
In the statements that Council referred us to, first of Mr. Maharaj, second of Inspector Stolz, third of Constable Lee, and then finally of Mr. Zungu. I don't know whether he's investigating officer Zungu. Now, when you have regard to the statements of the members of the Kato Manor unit regarding what transpired at the scene, as was narrated to you by the two officers from the NIU, is it not apparent that the statement of the members of the Kato Manor unit differs from the statement of the NIU members?
Yes, ma'am, it's very apparent that the statements differ.
On a material aspect.
Correct, Chairperson.
Regarding whether the suspect fired a shot at the Kato Manor unit.
That's correct, Chairperson.
What we see from the statements of members of the Kato Manor unit is mere mention that the windows of the Lexus was down or was half open. Correct? You remember? You may not remember.
I'm sorry, ma'am, the sound went away again. There seems to be some technical issue here.
If you remember, I do remember because we have gone through these statements again and again in the past few days. Allegations were made that the windows of the Lexus, the right window was down or was open.
Correct, Chairperson.
No mention whatsoever is mentioned in any of the statements of these Kato Manor officers. Mr. Stolz, Mr. Lee, Mr. Maharaj.
Padiachi.
Yes, and Mr. Padiachi. That the suspect, Mr. Mkhize, fired a shot at them, at least from my reading of these statements. Correct?
That's correct, Chairperson.
Doesn't then there appears to be a manifest contradictions between the statement of the NIU 2 members from Marion Hill and those of this Kato Manor members that I have mentioned?
You're quite correct in that assessment, Chairperson.
Yes, thank you. Let me just close it logically to the end. Doesn't it then follows, and correct me if I'm wrong, that either the Marion Hill NIU or the Kato Manor members that we have referred to lied?
Ma'am, it is crystal clear that it's either SVC is not telling the truth or NIU is not telling the truth. But they are contradicting each other, and it's crystal clear, and they cannot even argue with that because it's on paper and it's under oath.
You said SVC.
Yes, a serious and violent crimes unit, that is what they were actually known at, also known as organized crime unit, Kato Manor.
Yes, let's refer to them as Kato Manor because we will confuse the readers.
Noted, Chairperson.
So do you agree that there's a manifest contradictions between the statements of the Marion Hill NIU 2 members and
Yes,
those of the Kato Manor unit members that we mentioned, Mr. Lee, Mr. Stoltz, Mr. Maharaj, Mr. Pariachi?
yes, ma'am, I agree.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. I was going
I'm
to...
sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's where I started with my question. I wanted to hear what the witness is saying about this after going through this whole exercise.
Thank you, Chair. No, we're entirely in the panel's hands. Ms. Williams, just on Madam Ramachaka's questions to you, I wanted to direct you to another document on this question about whether Mr. Mkhize was a suspect or not. But before we do that, can you just explain to the panel, in your experience as a police officer and a senior investigator from ICD, how a person becomes a suspect?
A person becomes a suspect once he is linked to a particular crime. There should be something, there should be tangible evidence that is actually linking that suspect to that crime.
And at what stage in the course of an investigation does a person become a suspect?
I would say it's when a person is linked, is positively linked to that crime. Then you can for sure say, because prior to that he would be an alleged suspect. But once you have all the information, once you have evidence that's linking him to that crime, he is now a suspect in that matter.
And in reaching that particular, you say the person must be linked to the offense. In reaching that assessment as a police officer, would you conduct an an interview with that individual?
Yes, you would conduct an interview with that individual. You will take a warning statement if you so wish, or you can arrest that person. You will not be treated as a normal witness because he is now a suspect and then obviously has constitutional rights now. So that also needs to be taken into consideration.
And do you know, once you've sufficiently linked the person to an offense, are the police able or at liberty to simply apprehend the person? Or is there a particular process they must follow in order to secure that person?
If they feel they want to arrest that person, because remember the purpose of arrest is for the person to appear in court. If they feel that the person is going to flee, then obviously you're going to arrest. There are different ways of securing the presence of that person in court. It doesn't necessarily have to be an arrest.
Yes, and in the process of doing so, are the police simply able to take someone that they suspect of committing an offense? Or is there a need for a decision first to be made on whether that individual will be charged or not?
If there's compelling evidence, yes, you can arrest. But if there's none, then there's no need to do that because, in my opinion, if you're going to investigate, if you have sufficient evidence, then you can arrest. If you don't have, you can take the suspect in for questioning and then gather information. And if you are then satisfied that he is a suspect, then you can effect the arrest.
Yes, but as you've said, the police only arrest a person to bring them before a court to be tried. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
What I'm asking about is when a decision hasn't been made on whether to arraign the person and charge them, how can the police hold on to an individual? How can they detain them?
That would be, if he's a suspect, they can arrest him and they can detain him at the police station and then subsequently will appear in court and then the court will then either remand him in custody in a correctional facility or in the police facility.
And then assist us here, Ms. Williams, at what point does the police seek a warrant of arrest?
And that is when they are looking for a suspect. Maybe the suspect his whereabouts is not known, maybe he didn't appear at court. There are different reasons for that. But also when is that you have sufficient evidence linking that person, because I don't think that a magistrate would actually grant that request without sufficient evidence.
Yeah. Yes, we had lost you for a bit there. Would you please repeat that?
What I'm saying is that when an investigating officer has sufficient evidence, he will then approach the courts through a prosecutor, make that request. The prosecutor will then take that information to a magistrate that signs off on that. But prior to signing off, he will also familiarize himself with the contents and see that everything is above board, and then permission will be granted. But there should be compelling evidence linking that person to the crime, and then a warrant of arrest will be authorized.
Right. Now, with that in mind, could I ask you to turn to DC 000?
Sorry, Advocate,
I'm
before
sorry.
you step off this, I'd like Ms. Williams to share her opinion or her observations with us. In the statements that we've seen, we have had 2 NIU members claiming to have shot and killed Mr. Mkhize. And then we have members of the Kato Manor claiming to have shot and killed Mr. Mkhize. And please correct me if I read it wrongly, but I think Maharaj, okay. Yeah, I think Inspector Maharaj says, I immediately returned fire with my R5 rifle in the suspect's direction. And then Officer Parayachi, Detective Inspector Parayachi says, I stopped my vehicle on the right side of the Lexus and I noticed the driver firing shots at us. I returned fire with my 9mm Beretta pistol. So we've got members of Kato Manor on one hand saying they fired at Mkhize, and we've got members of the NIU on the other hand saying they saw him pointing a pistol at them and they fired at him. What does it say to you? If you can share with us your insight and your opinion. And from a lay person's point of view, I would think maybe it was a competition on who killed Mr. Mkhize, but what does it say and what does it mean in the police sense that we have these 2 contrasting statements being directed to the death of a civilian? Thank you.
Ma'am, I'm going to sound sarcastic, But it seems like the police have not really made up their mind who was going to take responsibility for the killing of Mr. Mkhize. In my opinion, they didn't think this thing through. They didn't have their story straight. Obviously, someone is lying here because at which stage did Mr. Mkhize now die? And that's why I'm saying I'm a bit sarcastic now. And during my course of my investigation, I think I was really sarcastic because I wanted to know now who was actually responsible, because when I read what Padiachi and what Maraj says, is Mkhize is already dead. And then Ramuka and the other member comes in, Fene comes in, and Mr. Bongani Mkhize seems to be alive again, so he's been risen from the dead, and then he wants to shoot at them, and then they shoot him. So I don't know, ma'am, that is just very peculiar, very weird. It seems like it's magic happening here.
I hope, Council, I'm not going ahead of myself by asking that during the witness investigation, what did she find? Did she find that it's Kato Manor or NIU? If I'm jumping ahead, then I will wait.
Madam Baloyi, Mayor SC, we do in fact deal with that later. I think it's in about paragraph 100 of her statement. We deal with that aspect. Ms. Williams will come back to that. That particular aspect about, these inconsistent versions about who the shooter was. But there's another question, so I'll wait.
No, that's immaterial. Go ahead.
I was going to put another statement to you. We had gone through this whole process about arrests and warrants, etc. And I was asking you to please turn to the document at DC 0000385, which is for the panel in DC 2.
Yes, that is a statement from Sibusiso William Zungu on the Durban Central Cash 185.
Yes, Ms. Williams, just a second for the panel to find it, please.
Pardon. My apologies, Chairperson.
That would be DC 0000385. The numbering is a bit smirched here. It should say A47 at the top right corner.
285.
385, Madam Chair, yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Williams, do you have that document?
I have it in front of me, yes, Chairperson.
Could you inform the panel what is this document that we're looking at?
We are looking at a statement by Sibusiso William Zungu in respect of Durban Central Cash 185 of 2009.
Now, there's under signature of deponent there, we see an inscription there. What is that?
That is the signature and also stating his rank of Warrant Officer Sibusiso William Zungu. Yes.
And then on the next page at DC 0000386, we see that there's a Commissioner of Oath. Who's the Commissioner of Oath?
That is me. I am the Commissioner of Oath, Shamila Williams.
Now, would you tell the panel what it is that Mr. Zungu says at paragraph 2 of his statement?
He says, I am the investigating officer of Becky Timber Case 113 of 2009. I wish to add to my previous statement submitted regarding Bongani Mkhize that there was no warrant of arrest for him, Bongani Mkhize, in Becky Timber Case 113 of 2009. the murder of Wellington Bongeleni Zondi, who was shot and killed at Z section in Mlazi. That is all I wish to state.
Now, am I correct that you are the one who he swore the statement before?
That's correct, Chairperson.
And from what we've now seen, from what the NIU has told us, and what he previously said in his statement that there was no warrant of arrest for Mr. Mkhize, what should the panel make of that?
Ma'am, if I may be so bold as to say that Bongeleni Mkhize was not a suspect, and it looks like he was shot and killed, he was murdered by members of either NIU or SBs, of Kato Manor. But according to what I'm reading, and I'm going to elaborate on this, I called Sibusiso Zungu to my office because I wanted to be specific. I wanted him to explain to me again, because he did not put this in his first statement. I wanted to be absolutely clear whether Bongeleni Mkhize was a suspect, whether there was a warrant of arrest for him, because I wanted to reconcile this from the investigating officer with what these other members were saying. And it was irreconcilable for me when I saw this, because I called him to my office and I said to him he must explain, because at this stage I needed to know what was going on. Was this man a suspect or not? Because somebody was dead and there needed to be some accountability for it.
And we know and we deal with this that Mr. Mkhize had brought an application to the High Court.
Yes, Chairperson.
Chair, I've gone above the lunchtime. Before my jacket is yanked and pulled, I need a direction from the panel.
Timekeeper when it comes to
Maybe Mr. Ngugaitobi can learn a thing or two, but yeah.
Give us just a second. Okay, Ramokhale, thank you. We normally adjourn at 1:30.
So maybe I am a terrible timekeeper after all. Yeah.
But I'll hear from your other colleagues whether you'd like us to adjourn now more to the witness. Ms. Williams?
Yes, Chairperson.
I think we should check with you first. Normally we adjourn at 1:30, but we have 15 minutes to go. Would you like us to pause now so that you can stretch your legs, have lunch and come back?
Yes, that would be good, Chairperson.
That would be good for you. We must
Yes,
thank
Chair.
your counsel. Thank you, Advocate Ramokhale and my colleagues. We'll take a lunch break and reconvene at 2:30. We
No, the
are
Chairperson.
still under